If you want to find out how to pronounce the brand name, well, you're not going to find out in this video. But if you're interested in this watch and you want to learn more about it, keep watching because, well, you're about to find out.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Hey guys, and welcome back to I Like Watches. Today I'm going to be reviewing my very first Rdunae. Rdunae? I don't think that's how you're supposed to pronounce it. I just like how it sounds in a Birmingham accent. If you do know how to pronounce this brand name, please let me know in the comment section. This watch was sent to me for free. I won't be returning it. That's why you will have seen the includes paid promotion icon either up there or down there. I am also going to be putting some affiliate links in my video description, and of course I'd love for you to use them. They don't cost you any more money. They just take you to the watches on AliExpress, and in return, AliExpress pays me a little bit of commission. I'm going to run through all the facts, figures, stats and specifications, talk about the green thumbs up, the red thumbs down. I'll give you a little summary at the end, let you know if this watch is worth considering, and if it is, of course, don't forget those affiliate links in the video description. Right, let's crack on and take a look at this Rdunae. Once you've clicked that like button and subscribed. And here it is, the Rdunae. Oh, I'm just going to call it the Rdunae from now on, like Rodney, but Rdunae. This is the Rdunae R3, and I'm going to be completely honest, this is not the watch I initially expressed an interest in. Yeah, I had initially said, oh, please feel free to send me, this other watch. But then they said, oh, that's not doing particularly well. It's sort of discontinued. But what about this one? And I was a little bit indifferent, actually, when I saw it online. But now that it's arrived, spoiler alert, it's pretty awesome. It's a chunky little watch. But, yeah, when it first arrived, I was really intrigued and loving some really quite unusual little design features. Obviously it's a compressor style diver, so the bezel is on the inside. Yeah, there's a few talking points about this watch, so I'm looking forward to going through those. But if you are interested in this watch, head over to the Rdunae Official Store. It's $199 day to day, but they've currently got a $2 coupon, so that will drop the price to $197. That's 175 euros, 148 pounds. I've no idea if it's going to be discounted in the upcoming 11th of the 11th sale, but it would be nice if it is. I'm sure a few people will be interested. Now, they do have a few models available, and the only thing they actually told me about this watch when they emailed me was the orange dial lume isn't particularly strong. They explained that when you add the orange pigment to the lume on the orange dial version, or the orange accented version, the lume, yeah, doesn't perform as well. So they did say to me, please could you just let people know that if they order the orange version, the lume is not going to be as good on that watch as it is on the other watches. But I can't wait to take a look at the lume. I suspect then, from what they're saying, it's pretty impressive because, well, I don't have the orange dial version. And inside this watch, you've got the NH35 beats at 21,600 beats per hour, of course. Right, let's run through some specifications then. Dial, or case diameter, I should say, 42 millimeters. Thickness is... there we go, 14.1 millimeters. Case length just under 50 millimeters. 20mm lug width. Now this strap's a funny one. It just sort of continues to taper all the way down pretty much to the end, but yeah, it tapers down to roughly 16 millimeters. And on the supplied strap, it weighs 97 grams. Bang on. Now on the supplied strap, it will fit a huge wrist. Look at that, 24 centimeters, 240 millimeters, and well, shortest is right up here. I mean, pretty much you'd have to be, tiny for this thing not to fit, but about 145 millimeters. Wow. According to the specifications, predominantly stainless steel construction. That'll be case, bezel, case back, crowns, and buckle. The strap is rubber, nice rubber as well, very soft, very thin and flexible actually, but yeah, and feels strong enough. What about the crystal? Well, it's sapphire apparently. Of course, I tested it. Now this watch does have quite a few interesting features and talking points, and I've got to say one of those I think is this case. Its shape, its profile, its proportions, whatever you want to call it. It's just an interesting design, isn't it? Quite stubby, quite tall, but yeah, very interesting looking. I do like it actually. Nice finishing as well. You've got some vertical brushing down the sides, which runs sort of along the length of the lugs. Then on the top you've got some longitudinal brushing And then some more, well, it looks pretty much fully brushed, doesn't it? Some more brushing on the bezel. Nice sort of strong bezel, even though obviously there's an internal rotating bezel on this diver. The external bezel is still quite interesting. There's quite a lot of material there. It's quite sort of thick and substantial. Yeah, and the crystal just sits slightly higher than the actual steel of the case. I like it. I really do like this side profile. Nice looking screw down case back as well, predominantly brushed, which is good. Nice logo. Well, interesting logo, I should say. It's a sort of angry looking unicorn seahorse. Got some specifications and a signature on the back. Rdunae R3 stainless steel sapphire crystal. 200 meters automatic movement, and there is 2 crowns, of course, being a compressor style watch. The crown at the bottom, or at the 4 o'clock position, is a screw down crown. It adjusts the time and the date, and it obviously winds up because it is an NH35. And the crown at the top, or the 2 o'clock position, adjusts the internal bezel, and it's a really interesting sort of rubbery feeling, and there is, funnily enough, a bit of back play. But in a way, I quite like it. And when you turn the internal rotating bezel, it just basically turns back on itself ever so slightly. Did you see that? If I turn it anti-clockwise, let go, it just rotates clockwise a little bit, and that, I believe, is down to the rubber gaskets, which is, you know, encouraging because this is a dive watch and you don't want it to be compromised by weak seals on any of the crowns. So yeah, that extreme rubbery feel and ever so slight back play is actually quite reassuring. And because it's a compressor style diver, you have a rather large piece of crystal protecting the dial and internal bezel, and on this particular watch it is of course sapphire. It's a piece of top hat crystal, and there is plenty of AR coating. Beautiful piece of crystal. Look at the size of it. It's huge. Now, in the specifications on AliExpress, they've said this is a sort of vintage-inspired watch. Maybe, but I just think it looks pretty cool, and it's a sort of retro watch, if you like. But that dial is so funky. Really square and blocky and sort of rectangular details. Printed, loomed indexes. Those hands are awesome. There's just no edge to them. I'm going to do a loom shot in a minute. I'm really curious to see what the loom is like on those hands because, well, they just look like huge pieces of loom, don't they? The internal bezel is being affected a little bit by the corner of that crystal look. The numerals on the internal bezel and the markers are just reflecting a little bit, or they're a bit distorted is what I'm trying to say. But that's a fairly minor thing. It doesn't generally ruin the appearance of the watch. It just makes those numerals a bit unclear when you're looking, you know, straight down at the watch. But I just love this dial. It's so cool. And the bezel as well. Look how detailed, or not detailed, but look how much the numerals and the markers all protrude and sort of stick out from that internal bezel. It's very cool, I've got to say. Very cool. Right, let's have a quick look at the loom on this watch. I'm dying to see it. Just to remind you, they did say that the orange version of this dial has slightly weaker loom than the rest of their watches. So if you want strong loom, they suggest you avoid the orange dial version. But they said that the loom on the rest of the watches is very good. Yeah, and they weren't wrong. Wow. Okay, so I see now. The colour element of the dial is loomed. Look at that. Oh, that is awesome. What a shame that the bezel is being impacted by the curvature of that crystal look. I mean, you can see the numerals clearly when you hold the watch at an angle, but when you're looking straight down, the numbers are a bit of a mess. That is a bit of a shame, isn't it? Right, let's have a look at this strap then. Tapering from 20mm down. Well, I mean, I think it just pretty much tapers. So there's a bit of a flat area here. That's 16mm. Really nice, soft strap. I think it might be a touch small and slim and sort of, I wouldn't say feeble looking, but it just, you know, it's just a chunky watch, and then you look at the strap and you're like, oh, is it big enough? And when it's on the wrist, it just doesn't quite feel like the strap is substantial enough. It's strong enough, you know, nothing's going to happen to it. But yeah, it just seems like an odd choice, but it's comfortable. It doesn't have that super sticky sort of feeling that silicone straps have, so you're not going to get loads and loads of lint on it. It seems nicely finished. You've got the signature Rdunae on the underside. Signed buckle, nicely done, stainless steel, brushed. Yeah, no complaints about it other than just, you know, a touch small and slim looking perhaps. Right, let's run through some of the green thumbs up, the red thumbs down. I'm going to start with this case. It's awesome. It's deep and sort of tall, but it's just a funky case. Really like the shape. Love the finishing, and the dial as well. Equally funky. Amazing lume. Some cool features on this dial. Those hands are amazing. They are just borderless. Look at them. That's the word I was looking for earlier. Borderless hands. Just huge pieces of lume, basically. Nice yellow hand, second hand as well, matching the yellow accent on the dial. Of course, that yellow accent is lumed. I mean, there's so much lume on this thing. It's amazing. The internal bezel is really interesting, that the way they've made those sort of numerals and markers poke out like that. Lovely bezel action as well on that rotating bezel. You know, quite a decent amount of resistance, but it just feels super slick, super greasy. Really, really smooth. Nice signature as well on the other crown. Didn't point that out earlier. But plenty of signatures on this watch. You're not going to forget it's a Rdunae. Some of the red thumbs down. Just that crystal impacting the appearance of that bezel is a bit of a shame. It's a fairly minor thing. Beautifully massive piece of crystal. But yeah, it does seem to impact those numerals look, which just takes away from the look of the watch a little bit. The strap as well. It's a slightly unusual choice, I think, just in terms of its size and its slenderness. It's very, very thin, feels very light, so makes the watch feel a touch top heavy. So a few negatives, but honestly, it's just a cool watch. It's really surprised me. Like I said, I didn't look twice at this watch when I saw it on AliExpress. I initially showed interest in a completely different Rdunae. They steered me towards this one, and I am very glad they did. It's just cool. And of course, this is the first Rdunae to appear on I Like Watches. It's always nice to have a look at a new watch and a new brand. And I've got to say, overall, I am very, very impressed. Nice build quality, nice design. What about the price? $200. That's roughly the sweet spot, isn't it, for good dive watches on AliExpress? Of course, it's not an all stainless steel diver. There are some very nice all stainless steel divers on AliExpress for a touch over $200. I think it does represent good value for money. It is beautifully made. It's a really interesting design, and I am really impressed with that, I've got to say, especially when you consider it's not one that I actually looked at twice on AliExpress. I sort of dismissed it fairly quickly, wasn't that interested in it actually, and I'm really pleased that they've now steered me towards this rather unusual, interesting design. It's not completely flawless. Obviously, there's a couple of things about it that aren't perfect, but I've got to say I am impressed. Let me know what you think of it, guys, in the comments section. I'm always interested to read your comments, and I know your feedback is useful for people interested in buying this watch. Look at it in the sale. Perhaps it might be discounted. If you can pick this up for $180, I think it represents good value for money. So yeah, look out for it, guys. Right, as always, a massive thank you from me to you for tuning in. I do really, really appreciate it. Take care, look after yourselves, and you'll see me again very, very soon.